You getting it, you big dosser? Dosser. You big stiff dosser, you get...
Limbs. I'm talking you're going to lose your ankle, your knee, your arm, you're going to lose...
Tyson Fury is warning Anthony Joshua in a live clip, saying he needs to be careful and watch out because Jake Paul could be dangerous. Fury's tone is serious, putting Joshua on notice and highlighting that he can't underestimate even a YouTuber stepping into the ring.
That man, you gotta hit that joint. You know,
Eddie Hearn responds to Tyson Fury's warning by calling out Jake Paul's limitations. He stresses that Paul is still average and untested at a high level, showing that Fury's caution isn't just hype. Eddie highlights that facing someone like Anthony Joshua would expose Paul completely, backing Fury's claim that he's in serious danger in the ring.
Still average. You're not.
It's not true. I just beat a 5-time world champion.
UFC.
You don't even know. You don't know my ability though.
That's true. That's true.
You don't.
That's true. I don't know where you might go. I just give you where I think you're at, which I'm entitled to, which is.
Carl Froch breaks it down brutally, highlighting the huge gap between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. He reminds everyone that Paul hasn't faced a real heavyweight and even struggled against Tommy Fury, a cruiserweight. Froch makes it clear that underestimating Joshua here is ridiculous and that Paul is completely out of his depth.
Punching heavyweight, and fake Paul's never been in with a heavyweight. Like I said earlier, he lost to Tommy Fury, a cruiserweight. He lost to him. Tommy Fury's not even British level. So you can't chuck fake Paul in with Anthony Joshua and take it serious.
Eddie Hearn lays it out bluntly, warning Jake Paul that facing Anthony Joshua is nothing like his past opponents. He stresses that AJ can end the fight instantly and that Paul is stepping into extreme danger. Hearn's words underline the huge experience and skill gap, making it clear Paul is overestimating himself against a true heavyweight champion. The risk here is massive, and Paul's hype doesn't change the cold, hard reality of Joshua's power and precision.
It's like that. But I said to Jake Paul, you ain't in a box, mate, and this ain't David Blaine. I said, so just be careful, because AJ will take your head clean off your shoulders, and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And you take on that responsibility, and we all have to. So we got to think about that. But this is Anthony fighting a top 50 cruiserweight in the world. It's not something that we would normally do.
Sam Jones puts it into perspective, reminding everyone that Joshua's power is world-class. Comparing the potential impact on Jake Paul to the knockout Joshua delivered to Francis Ngannou shows just how dangerous this fight really is. It's a warning no one can ignore and proves that Paul is walking into a situation where one clean shot could end everything. This isn't entertainment. This is real risk against a true heavyweight with knockout capability. And Paul has no room for error.
we can all joke, but nobody wants any permanent damage to happen to Jake Paul. But if Anthony Joshua hits Jake Paul with the right hand he hit Francis Ngannou with, he could brown bread him.
Usyk's statement shows the sheer intensity Anthony Joshua brings to the ring. He highlights that Joshua is focused and relentless when he wants to dominate, and the casual warnings are not exaggeration. The emphasis on prayer for Jake Paul reflects just how outmatched he is, and Usyk's respect for the danger confirms that this is no ordinary fight. Joshua's mindset is all business and maximum output, leaving Paul with very little hope if he underestimates his opponent.
Business, more money. Only this.
So we need to pray for Jake Paul.
Yes. I will pray Jake Paul because I want fight with Jake Paul in octagon.
Garrick Chisora doesn't mince words, calling this an easy fight for Anthony Joshua. He makes it clear that Joshua won't hold back or play games and will deliver a decisive performance. The description of Joshua smoking Jake Paul is a stark warning that Paul is in over his head. Chisora confirms what everyone is thinking in the boxing world. Joshua's experience and power make this mismatch obvious, and Paul's bravado cannot compensate for the technical gap in skill and strength.
Easy fight for him, and I think this should be laid to rest because
I don't think AJ's gonna go in and try and pat. AJ's gonna smoke him.
Even Jake Paul admits the threat Anthony Joshua poses, calling him an animal and expressing genuine fear. This rare moment of honesty shows that deep down, even Paul knows he's facing a force far beyond his experience. Despite all the hype and social media bravado, Joshua's presence alone intimidates and commands respect. Paul's fear highlights the massive gap between a genuine world-class heavyweight and a celebrity fighter trying to step into uncharted territory.
In a fight for AJ, very little risk, extremely little risk, and a big reward. I mean, why would you not take it? But as a fight fan, I thought it was a farce. I mean, Tommy Fury beat Jake Paul. It may not be, it may be a little while back, but still, he hasn't improved that much. And he hasn't been fighting anybody that's posed a problem for him.
Johnny Nelson nails it, explaining that Jake Paul's confidence borders on delusion. Anthony Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion who never toys with opponents and only fights to dominate. Nelson highlights that Paul's antics and showmanship mean nothing in the ring against a seasoned fighter. The mention of huge purses underlines that Paul is motivated by money rather than skill. This fight is about pure power, experience, and ring intelligence. Joshua doesn't play touch. He finishes fights. For Paul, this is not entertainment. This is a brutal reality check that he might not survive intact.
Jake Paul is crazy. If he thinks he can get it with Anthony Joshua, former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, and play tiddlywinks, I don't think AJ plays touch. He plays knock the F out.
Simon Jordan calls Jake Paul's decision absurd, pointing out the massive difference in skill and experience between him and Anthony Joshua. Jordan notes that Joshua's past loss to Daniel Dubois doesn't diminish his capabilities, and he remains a physically dominant heavyweight capable of executing his strategy. The mental aspect is mentioned, but Jordan emphasizes that any challenges for Joshua are minor compared to the threat he poses to Paul. This underlines the foolishness of Paul stepping into the ring as he faces a technically and physically superior opponent whose experience outweighs any hype or social media bravado.
Financial welfare, but Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss.
Tommy Fury puts Paul's predicament into perspective, showing that even a moderately skilled fighter like him can see how outmatched Paul is. The exaggeration of Anthony Joshua defeating Paul in less than a minute emphasizes the terrifying reality of the matchup. Fury's statement about AJ's dominance reflects the widespread consensus in boxing that Paul is stepping into a fight far beyond his ability. Joshua's skill, power, and experience create a scenario where Paul's only chance is sheer luck. This commentary underlines the mismatch, showing that hype and bravado mean nothing when facing a true heavyweight champion.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past.
Spencer Oliver issues a stark warning about the dangers Jake Paul faces against Anthony Joshua. He recalls Joshua's dominant victory over Francis Ngannou, a fighter from another discipline, to highlight the level of threat Paul is up against. Oliver points out that Paul's only credible boxing experience ended in a loss to Tommy Fury, showing he hasn't faced anyone close to Joshua's caliber. This exposes Paul's inexperience and underlines how the hype around him cannot overcome the reality of stepping into the ring with a seasoned, world-class heavyweight.
Jake Paul. That's all I can say. We saw that what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. He went out there and iced him in a couple of rounds. A guy coming from a different discipline. Well, this kid's coming from another level. You know, white collar boxing in 2018, gone through the mill, and the only boxer really that he's actually boxed, a legitimate boxer he got beat by, and that was in Tommy Fury.
David Benavidez acknowledges Jake Paul's courage, but stresses how perilous this fight really is. He predicts a likely knockout, not out of malice, but due to the undeniable skill and experience of Anthony Joshua. Benavidez highlights Joshua's credentials as a multiple-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist, showing the massive gap between them. Paul's reputation as a showman does not match the reality of facing a true heavyweight champion. The commentary reinforces that Joshua's technical ability, power, and pedigree make this fight extremely dangerous for anyone unproven at this level.
I give 100% respect to Jake Paul, but that's a dangerous fight for him. He probably gets knocked out, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not saying nothing bad, but Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. You know, he's multiple-time champion, Olympic.
Devin Haney perfectly captures the shock in the boxing world over Jake Paul's choice. He underlines Anthony Joshua's stature as a world-class fighter, a solidified champion who poses a real threat in every punch. Haney's surprise reflects common sentiment that Jake Paul is overstepping his abilities. This is not a friendly sparring session. Joshua is one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the sport. Every move he makes is calculated. Every punch carries weight, and Paul's bravado will not save him. Stepping into the ring with Joshua is a massive gamble, and Haney's commentary reminds viewers just how foolish Paul's decision truly is.
I was surprised that Jake took the fight rather than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is one of the best fighters in the world. He's a solidified champion. But I'm surprised that Jake took the fight and is fighting a guy that's so dangerous like Anthony Joshua. So I got to take my hat off to him. Because we were saying that he's fighting this person past their prime, this person's old and this and whatnot, and now he's fighting.
Anthony Joshua's words show a focused champion hungry for progress and dominance. He is not distracted by hype or showmanship from Jake Paul, but is concentrating on building his skill, strength, and mental resilience. His training in Dallas demonstrates commitment to pushing limits and elevating his performance to the highest level. Joshua's mentality is what separates true champions from entertainers. While Paul thrives on social media stunts and public antics, Joshua is methodically preparing to showcase his peak ability. This commentary highlights the contrast between a calculated, world-class heavyweight and a YouTube fighter looking for fame. Paul is completely outmatched mentally and physically.
So everyone back home would be like, oh, so what did you do on Thursday? You had the day off, and it's like, it's a day off, but it's a day off to get ready for the day on.
So there we have it. Back on my feet. I got through the pain of the blister. Back to work.
Carl Froch perfectly outlines the harsh reality awaiting Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua's confidence and clarity show a man ready to dominate, not play games. Froch emphasizes that Joshua's time away has only sharpened him, making him more dangerous and strategic. Paul's lack of fights, ranking, and real experience paints him as an easy target for a heavyweight champion operating at peak performance. Joshua sees this as both a professional opportunity and a demonstration of his supremacy. This commentary underlines that hype and media attention cannot mask the truth. Paul is stepping into a fight far beyond his capability, and he faces a merciless champion.
Anthony Joshua said, Jake or anyone can get this work, no mercy. I took some time out, I'm coming back with the mega show. It's a big opportunity for me, whether you like it or not. I'm here to do massive numbers, have big fights and break every record whilst keeping cool, calm and collected. So chill in it. I mean, come on, he's jumping in with fake Paul, who has no experience and no fights and no world ranking at heavyweight. Easy work, easy money.
Logan Paul's description perfectly highlights the staggering gap between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. He paints Joshua as an almost flawless fighter with experience, power, and technical mastery, a gladiator in peak form. Paul's lack of exposure to true heavyweight competition is glaring compared to Joshua's history of knocking out top opponents. The commentary underscores that no amount of hype or social media influence can compensate for real skill and experience. Anthony Joshua is sculpted for this sport, mentally and physically, while Jake Paul is still learning, making this fight extremely lopsided and a dangerous endeavor for him.
Experience difference, Anthony Joshua is a former heavyweight champion who's knocked out heavyweight champions.
Has he ever tried like Ozempic or Manjaro?
This is a guy who is already perfect.
Okay.
He's perfect.
Okay.
He's like, if you could sculpt like a perfect gladiator human being, it's Anthony Joshua.
The stakes in this fight could not be higher as Anthony Joshua steps into the ring against Jake Paul. Joshua is a former two-time heavyweight champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and a fighter with experience, power, and skill at the elite level. Every punch he throws is calculated and precise, and his mental strength is unmatched. If Joshua wins, it will reinforce his legacy as one of the best heavyweights of his generation and serve as a harsh lesson for anyone underestimating him. On the other hand, if Jake Paul shocks the world, it would be one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. Though the odds are heavily stacked against him, given Joshua's superior experience, technique, and conditioning, fans must also consider who truly wants it more in the ring, because Joshua has shown dedication, focus, and a relentless drive to improve. Are you backing Anthony Joshua, or is Jake Paul pulling the upset? Drop your thoughts below and join the debate.